Hello everyone, and welcome to a new Q&A. There's not a lot of news to share this week, except that coming Monday, I'll be releasing a very special project that I hope you'll all enjoy and have a lot of fun with. I've been dropping hints here and there about what it's going to be, so yeah, we had a ton of fun to make it, and I hope that shows, and I hope you all have a lot of fun while watching that video. We're all still waiting on patch 6.2 to release, and as I'm writing the script, they haven't released the new subscriber numbers yet, so I can't really give an opinion about those. I can't imagine them to be very positive though, but you know, we'll see. Let's kill some time with a brand new Q&A. Hey Noble, I just read some lore and discovered something. I thought Mal'Ganis was dead, but it seems that he is not. Do you think we will see him in a later expansion? Greetings from Denmark. Mal'Ganis and the other Dreadlords, they did indeed survive the events of Warcraft 3, and some even survived us killing them within Warcraft itself. The reason for this is that Dreadlords, they can't be killed on Azeroth. All we can do is send them back to the Twisting Nether, while they recover for a bit, and they can then make their return to Azeroth. Not even Dreadlords can kill other Dreadlords, even though they have this special rule, this special code amongst them that a Nafrezim will never kill another Nafrezim. But if you remember the bit with Sylvanas and Varimafras in Warcraft 3, in that bit Sylvanas orders Varimafras to kill Balnazar to prove his loyalty.
It's over, Balnazar. Varimafras.
Yes, my lady.
Kill him.
But it is forbidden for one of the Nathrezim to kill another. My defection was one thing, but this...
I require one last test of your loyalty, Dreadlord. Do it.
You wouldn't dare.
This apparently didn't really do anything, it was just a scheme of Varimafras and Balnazar, since Balnazar would later return, infiltrate the Scarlet Crusade, and make his plans with Varimafras. To your question about Mal'Ganis, Mal'Ganis was the one who was pushing Arthas to the dark side with the whole Purge of Strathholm thing.
We're going to finish this right now, Mal'Ganis. Just you and me.
Brave words. Unfortunately for you, it won't end here. Your journey has just begun, young prince. Gather your forces and meet me in the Arctic land of Northrend. It is there that we shall settle the score between us. It is there that your true destiny will unfold.
I'll hunt you to the ends of the earth if I have to. Do you hear me? To the ends of the earth!
He taunted the prince to follow him to the cold heart of Northrend, where Arthas found the blade Frostmourne and fought his way to revenge. Mal'Ganis did not expect to actually be taken out, but Ner'zhul gave Arthas exactly what he wanted.
You waste your breath, Mal'Ganis. I heed only the voice of Frostmourne now.
You hear the voice of the Dark Lord. He whispers to you through the blade you wield. What does he say, young human? What does the Dark Lord of the Dead tell you now?
He tells me that the time for my vengeance has come.
What? He can't possibly mean to...
It is finished.
Again, it seems that nothing on Azeroth can actually kill the Dreadlords, not even the mighty Blade of Frostmourne, since Mal'Ganis would return and take control over the Scarlet Onslaught with Northrend, similar to how Balnazar took control over the Scarlet Crusade. During the questline, we exposed Balnazar for who he truly was, and we forced him to retreat to his homeworld, and as we do, he claims that he would get his revenge on him and us, and that we would never defeat the Lich King without his forces.
You'll never defeat the Lich King without my forces. I'll have my revenge on him and you.
As we all know, we did defeat the Lich King even without Mal'Ganis at our side, and it's uncertain where he is or what he's currently doing. You asked if we will see him later on, and as always, it's very hard to predict the future and to predict what Blizzard will or will not do. There are countless stories that they've never continued, but if we ever return to the Bolvar, the Scourge, Kel'Thuzad, Sylvanas, all that storyline that's waiting for us, then sure, they could add Mal'Ganis and we might see him again. I would have loved to see the storyline continue within Wrath of the Lich King itself. How cool would it be to fight side by side with a Nafrezim, with Mal'Ganis himself, to take down Arthas? He would betray us at the end. Would have been brilliant, but unfortunately they never continued that storyline. Now, if they ever do decide to bring back Mal'Ganis, I would imagine that he would probably corrupt some sort of organization. Maybe he could even infiltrate the Argent Crusade, work his magic from within, turn the Ashbringer to darkness again. Who knows, but we know for certain that he isn't gone and he might return in the future. Next question. Does anyone know what's happening in Blackfathom Deeps? It's changed for more Old God. For those that didn't know yet, for Warlords of Draenor, Blizzard decided to revamp a few of the old dungeons, namely Blackfathom Deeps, Razorfen Kraul and Razorfen Downs. I don't believe that they've given a solid reason as to why do it now, why they did it with the Warlords of Draenor expansion, since it seems pretty disconnected from the overall storyline. We've been partying on Draenor for the entire expansion, we haven't been sent on any special missions on Azeroth, and considering the storyline that's going on, I'd say that this was a revamp that they planned to do for the Cataclysm. N'Zoth and the Old Gods, they were partying with Deathwing and the Elements during the Cataclysm, and I think this story would make a lot more sense if it was placed in that timeline. So maybe they didn't get around to it for that expansion, and now they added it to the game. Others speculate that there's more to it, that this suggests something that's coming, and it's a hint for the next expansion. Now, not much special is happening in the Razorfen dungeons. It's a little bit more streamlined as it used to be. We have to save the world from nearly the same threats as we had during the past. So those two dungeons, they seem to be pretty similar. The story did change a little bit within Blackfathom Deeps though. We still have members of the Twilight's Hammer cult, or the Twilight's Hammer clan. They're trying to summon and preserve the Herald of the Old Gods, namely Akumai.
You should be honored, fools! Your blood will feed Akumai, the destroyer of Azeroth!
In the past, we went in, we kicked their asses while also taking care of Akumai, and it seems like the bosses that we killed in the past, like the Murloc and the Naga, they are now used to reignite their plans, and they're continuing as before. At the end of the dungeon, we find Akumai, we take him out, but that's just the beginning.
Savor this victory, mortal. Now that you've heard our whispers, it is only a matter of time until you belong to us.
It seems like the Old Gods, they still want to get out of their prisons, and that's why I find this one so fitting for the Cataclysm. That was their main goal during that expansion. We had Deathwing, the Hour of Twilight, the moment where the Old Gods was rise up and rule the world. So that would be my explanation, that it's a revamp plan for the Cataclysm, and they never really got around to it. I could be wrong though, maybe this is indeed a hint as to what's to come. Maybe the next expansion will be about N'Zoth, the Old Gods, Azora, creatures of the ocean. We don't know, at least I don't know, but this is part of the reason why I see the revamp. I think it's because it was placed during the Cataclysm, but it could be something more. What's the story behind Gorshalach, Sargeras' weapon? This question was asked during the live Q&A over the Twitch, and at the time I didn't have a clear answer, so I figured I would do some research and answer it here. The story of Gorshalach and Sargeras, it comes from Shadows and Light, which is part of the Warcraft RPG. Blizzard has decided that the information from the Warcraft RPG, in general the storylines that can be found in the RPG, it's not canon, which means that it's not part of the official lore. That could mean that the whole story behind the weapon has been removed and no longer part of the lore as a whole, but since you asked, Gorshalach, also known as the Dark Render, it was one of the most powerful weapons in the universe. This massive great sword was originally wielded by Sargeras while he was a member of the Pantheon. When Sargeras fell to his madness, Gorshalach, being semi-sentient, it sundered itself into two shadowbound pieces to prevent the fallen titan from wielding it. One fragment was claimed by Sargeras and reforged into Gorabal, while the other was claimed by Agramar and reforged into Tessalach. I don't think they could have picked any worse names for the weapons, but besides that, Agramar, he's another titan, which used to be Sargeras' lieutenant, as Sargeras was battling against the darkness and the chaos of the universe. But eventually, Sargeras would step away from the Pantheon, lead the Burning Legion, which left Agramar to take up his role as warrior of the Pantheon. Agramar knows that if he ever unites his half, Tessalach, with Sargeras' half, Gorabal, then Gorshalach will be reborn. He desires this weapon greatly, but he has not yet had the courage to confront Sargeras. Like I said, this information, it comes from the Warcraft RPG, and Blizzard has not dealt with the whole Pantheon Sargeras storyline in a very long time. Last we heard was Kill Jaden during the Sunwell raid, where he said, I will succeed where Sargeras had failed or something like that, but we're not even sure if the Pantheon is still out there. Maybe Refion's message during Mr. Pandaria was to say that the Pantheon or the Titans had fallen. We're not sure, we haven't heard about them for such a long time. It could very well be that they've completely removed the story, or maybe they'll use it in the future. But there you go, that's the story behind Gorshalach. The next question is another weapon question. Hey Noble, I would love to watch a lore video about the King of Stormwind, Varian Wrynn. Forgot how to spell his name. Also his weapon Shalamayne, it's an amazing sword and I never knew the history, so it would be great. Until next time Noble, see ya! I've done a video about Varian Wrynn in the past, and although the video is a little bit old, the information is still solid. At some point I'll have to go back and revisit stories that I've done in the past. I will need to improve them, I'll need to add additional lore that's added, because in Varian's case, for example, he's done some extra things during Mr. Pandaria, a couple of extra novels, a little bit more information. I've got it on the agenda, but you know, there's also still plenty of new stories to tell. We'll get around to that. To your question though about the weapon, Shalamayne is forged out of two blades, the twin blades known as Shalator and Elamayne. The story behind it in a nutshell, like I said, I've done the story of Varian Wrynn. If you want to check it out, more details can be found there. In a nutshell is that Onyxia, she had Varian split in two, where she planned to take out the strong-willed Varian and manipulate the weak-willed Varian into ruling Stormwind, but under her control. Her plans eventually failed. The strong-willed Varian escaped before she was able to take him out, and eventually both sides of the same man, they reached Verramore, where Lady Jaina Proudmoore, she helped them regain their memory and figure out what happened. At this time, Onyxia, she was already revealed to be the Black Dragon. She'd kidnapped Anduin and she'd taken him back to her lair. Both sides of Varian, they were ready to go and save their son, and Jaina had a little gift for them. She was the one who granted them the twin blades, which were forged during the War of the Ancients, and they were wielded by the twins of Vorilian and Lovelian. It's uncertain how Jaina came into the possession of these weapons, but regardless of that, the two Varians and a couple of their friends, they made their way into Onyxia's lair in an attempt to save their son. During their confrontation, Onyxia blasted both sides, both Variants, forging him into one man, and the twin blades were forged into the weapon known as Shalamayne.
I am Varian, but I am also Logosh.
Varian was whole again, and he managed to take out Onyxia, but the king would struggle with himself, trying to accept both sides. Like he was, on the one hand, he was like Logosh the gladiator, on the other side he was Varian, King of Stormwind, and for the longest of time he was having an internal struggle, trying to control his anger, trying to be the king that the people needed. And eventually during the novel Wolfheart, where he stepped through the Worgen ritual, where he embraced his Logosh side, he became more in control. That's besides the storyline though. The weapon is described as followed. It has a unique narrow edge at the point and a thicker angled edge further down. The gem in the lower part of the blade glows like the sun. There's a backward arc at the bottom of the blade and the hilt is long and slender. The weapon, it has a pretty nice story behind it, although there are some massive gaps. I would love to know more about these two twins that wielded the original blades. I would love to know how Jaina got it into her possession. That's all unclear, but what we do know is that the weapon is brilliant. It's Varian's weapon. It clashed even with Gorhal. It was able to stand up to Gorhal like toe-to-toe with Garrosh, even though, you know, Varian at the time was empowered by a demigod and he still wasn't able to defeat Garrosh. Besides the point again, this is pretty much all the story we know about the weapon. I'll have to pace myself and not go so much off topic. Anyways, for the last question for this Q&A is the following. What's the story behind Children's Week and what's all the speculation about? This question was sent in by a couple of you, and a couple of you requested if I could explain a little bit about what we see during the Children's Week and what the story behind it might be. Now, the overall story is pretty simple. It's called Warcraft, which means that there have been a lot of wars which left a lot of children without parents. These children, they're sent to the local orphanage, and once a year we pay attention to them, we give them some ice cream, a couple of toys, we make their day, and one day they'll be heroes like Uther or Garrosh or whatever. 1 week a year we spend attention and time with the orphans. That's the global story behind it all, with a few minor differences and nice little events on both sides. On the Alliance side, you take your orphan to Westfall to cruise around in a bike and witness the devastation of the cataclysm caused by Deathwing. Afterwards, you take the orphan to Ironforge to see the crystallized Magni Bronzebeard. Just before the cataclysm, Magni used an ancient Titan ritual to communicate and become one with the land. They felt that the Earth was in trouble, they wanted to find out what exactly was happening, and as Magni did the ritual, they didn't realize that he would quite literally be turned to a crystal, and now his spirit has become one with the world of Azeroth. It's uncertain if they'll ever be able to reverse this spell placed on Magni, but for now his spirit is one with the land. We've seen this in Thrall's short story. Now the final stop with the orphan is in Darnassus, where Malfurion's Stormrage awaits. Malfurion has finally returned after spending years within the Emerald Dream, which eventually became the Emerald Nightmare. They cleaned up the Emerald Dream in the novel Stormrage, they saved the Archdruid, and Malfurion married Tyrande and is now ruling at her side. And on the Horde side, you take the orphan for another ride, and this time it takes place in Azora, where you can see what the goblins did to the land and have a little fun in the rockets. The next stop takes you to Mulgore, where the Torrents are having a funeral for the former chieftain Cairn Bloodhoof. Cairn lost his life as he challenged Garrosh to Makura, since he believed that Garrosh ordered an attack on a pack of druids. In truth, it was actually the Twilight Hammer clan that did the attack, but Cairn didn't know this, and they ended up in a duel to the death. Cairn would have won the fight, was it not for Megafa Grimtotem, who had poisoned Gorhal and made it so that the honorable chieftain died betrayed. Afterwards, Megafa thought that she would have Garrosh's support. As she helped him with the duel, she thought that Garrosh would back her up, and as she took Thunder Bluff, she expected Garrosh to send reinforcements and send help. Garrosh was not happy though about being deceived. He would never know who would have won an honorful and fair fight, so he left Megafa to rot, and Cairn's son Bane, with a few others, they managed to overthrow Megafa, retake the city, and exile the betrayer. The final stop with the orphan is in the Undercity, where they meet with Sylvanas Windrunner, and he blurts out that they know that Sylvanas had a fight with the war chief, and they wonder if she's going to abandon the Horde. Sylvanas had proudly shown Garrosh that she and the Valkyr can now resurrect the dead themselves, but Garrosh wasn't pleased.
What you have done here, Sylvanas, it goes against the laws of nature. Disgusting is the only word I have to describe it.
War Chief, without these new Forsaken, my people would die out. Our hold upon Gilneas and Northern Lordaeron would crumble.
Have you given any thought to what this means, Sylvanas? What difference is there between you and the Lich King now?
Isn't it obvious, War Chief? I serve the Horde.
Watch your clever mouth, bitch!
Sylvanas could have been a great enemy during Mr. Pandaria instead of Garrosh, but Blizzard decided to turn the war chief into the bad guy. The Banshee Queen states that she remembers that the Horde took her and the Forsaken in when no one else would, and she would never forget her debt to the Horde, so the little orphan doesn't need to worry. Those are the events that take place with an orphan from Azeroth, but we also take orphans from Outlands, which both take different paths. On the Alliance side, you take a Draenei with you who wants to see the Dark Portal, the blown up area of Akendun, and catch up with her friend who's working in the Grand. She also wants to meet the Naru Oros, who traveled with the Draenei when they escaped the planet of Outlands and crashed upon the world of Azeroth. Oros informs us that there's something very special about this child and that we should take her to Farsi and Nobundo, the first shaman amongst the Draenei. It seems like the orphan and Nobundo had already made a connection before in their dreams. Nobundo, he asked the child to show him what she had shown him in the dreams, which is to summon the 4 elements right there on the spot. Nobundo is truly impressed with her skills, especially at her age, and will send a message to the orphanage to request that the child will be allowed to come and stay with them and train in the ways of the shaman. And on the Horde side, you get a Blood Elf orphan who wants to see the Dark Portal, see the Elemental Throne, and catch up with her friends who can be found in Sporagar within the Zanger Marsh. The Blood Elf has no affinity for shamanism, instead she wants to go to Silvermoon and meet her favorite band, the Elite Tauren Chieftain. We take the orphan to Silvermoon, of course, where the rock band is relaxing on a balcony. She gives them a little performance by playing the air guitar and singing the song The Power of the Horde.
From the power of the Horde.
They cheer for her on the little balcony, and on the spot she decides that when she grows up, she too will become a rock star. There's one more location where both of the orphans want to go, which is to the Caverns of Time, where they meet the bronze dragon Zaladormu. The Wardens of Time are not happy that we brought the orphan into their caverns. They're about to attack, but Zaladormu stops them and says that this girl has done nothing and will not be held accountable for what she might do or fail to do in the future. A lot of people have speculated and asked about this event, wondering if this is some indication for future events, but I personally highly doubt it, to be honest. Considering that both orphans have the same exact event, both of them apparently are a threat in the future, I think this is just a neat little thing placed in by Blizzard to get some speculation going, to get some minds turning, and I think it's just a nice little detail, but it won't have any effect. I could definitely be wrong though. Perhaps the Blood Elf will lead a life full of foul magic abuse, rock parties, while the Draenei girl, she will force the elements into servitude, and together with the power of earth, air, fire and water, they will rule the world of Azeroth, and we will have to stop them.
Storm, earth, and fire. Heed my call.
Who knows, but for now, that's the end of my Q&A, everyone. Thank you all once again for sending in your questions. Now, if you have more, if you want a question featured in the Q&A, please leave a comment down below, or you can send them in over at AskFM, and I might use them in the next video. Have a great weekend, everyone, and before I go, like I mentioned at the start, I just wanted to let you all know that we got something really special releasing next week. We've been working on bringing the steamy romance novels to life, and I think that the end result is just beautiful, hilarious, and overall amazing. We've got some great people who are willing to work on all of this, and I hope you'll all enjoy it. That's for next week though, so for now, thank you very much for watching everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, and until next time guys, see ya!